it would just put me into a survival mode. It was horrible. I mean, it was awful. And I was having, those kind of micro panic attacks on a hour by hour basis. I'm supposed to be a manager. My whole life, I was supposed to be an artist manager.
Hello, my fellow Martians. My name is Harry Mars, and this is the On Mars Pod, where we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike.
Lost my entire self to running this festival, where I would just keep going because I never wanted to say that I could have given it more. Bubba Johnson and Kyle and 100 artists and John Dame Plaza. No one's ever done that, and no one ever will do it again.
Hello, my fellow Martians. Today on Mars, we are joined by an entrepreneur, artist manager, and a former music festival director. We got Caleb Brown in the building here. Thank you for being here, brother.
What's up, man? I'm happy to be here.
Hell yeah, bro. So we got connected through Wyatt, Feegrado, and Charlie Mack. You're managing them right now, and
Yeah.
you hit me up to actually have them on the pod. And we couldn't make Wyatt work out with his brother Luke, but we did get Charlie Mack on. So thank you for making that.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Great app.
We'll have lots of artists come on here.
No, thank you so much.
It's a perfect spot. Everybody comes through Phoenix on tour.
Yes.
So it's gonna work perfect. It's
Let's
awesome.
get it, man. Yeah, let's all rise up together, man. Appreciate it. So I at the Charlie Mack show, I was like, dude, Caleb, we got to get you on the pod because he just recently moved out to Arizona from Washington. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a big step for your journey too, because AZ is a whole nother monster.
I love this place.
Fuck
It's
yeah.
awesome. This Arizona is so cool.
Fuck
It's
yeah.
just all the cool big city stuff you want to do. I can just randomly go see a show or a baseball game someday,
Yes,
but then I don't have to deal with LA, New York shit,
Facts. Yeah.
There's the traffic isn't that bad. There's not an insane homeless problem. This place is great.
Yeah, dude, I
love
agree.
AZ.
I love it. There's the little suburbs where you can just tuck away and not be affected by the city life. Or
Yep.
if you want to go into the city life, you can have that too. So,
And there's so many of those.
Yes.
Scottsdale is so sick and I love it.
Yeah.
That's definitely home for me. But Tempe's cool.
yeah.
I mean, every downtown Phoenix, Peoria, dude, there's so many different cool spots with different things. It's awesome.
Yeah, for sure, man. And you just got out here too, so I'm sure you're gonna learn a lot more about it as you know.
Yeah. No, I'm literally just now figuring it out. I'm
Yeah.
oh damn, this is there's so much here. And it's
Yeah.
third or fourth largest area in the country.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like that
Low
at
key.
all. It doesn't at all feel like this giant metro area, but it totally is, and
For
it's
sure.
sick.
Yeah, I love it, man. No, I've been here for almost 11 years now, which is crazy. But it's like a little mini LA without having to have all that hype, like you
Yep.
said. So, and hopefully people don't figure that out, so that way it doesn't turn into LA.
No, I don't think I've met one person here that was born in Arizona.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
it's all people that are yeah, I moved here 2 years ago, something like that. I'm
Yeah.
yeah, it's all of that.
Yeah.
But it's dope. I love this place, dude.
Yeah, man.
It's so cool.
Fuck yeah, dude. So on Mars, we take a deep dive into creative professionals, entrepreneurs, and other inspiring Martians alike. That's why I had to have you on, because you check a couple of those boxes here.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, we'll see. We do.
Hey, man. Well, you've had some recent accolades. Like we said, you're managing Charlie Mack, and you ran a whole festival out in Washington, Tri-Town Get Down.
Yep.
And you also manage Afro Man. I mean, you've had some accolades in your career.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's weird. I feel like I haven't really done anything, and I'm just starting.
right.
But then I look back and I'm like, I guess I have. I've done some stuff.
For sure.
It's weird to look and be like, I've come so far from where I was, but then I also feel like a total rookie. At the same time, it's wild. Done a lot of stuff.
Yeah, man. No, I think that's a lot of creatives probably feel like that, because
Yeah.
you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always progressing on to the next thing, and whatever that looks like for you in your creative field. So it's cool that you've been able to kind of experience different lanes within entertainment, though, and
Yeah.
and kind of so that way you have experience in all these fields as well.
Yeah, the comedy thing is brand new. I mean,
Yeah,
the comedy
exactly.
thing just started in April,
Right.
and it's been wildly successful.
Hell yeah.
I managing comics is a walk in the park compared to managing musicians.
Yeah.
It's night and day. and it's awesome. Like managing comedy is so fun.
Yeah,
Like I've
man.
had a blast with it, and I mean we have like I can't say a couple of the projects we're working on, but like I've
It's a lot of
gotten
exciting shit.
all in just a couple months brush shoulders with some of the biggest names in comedy already, and
Yeah.
it's like I mean like huge massive people, and I mean the Kill Tony universe obviously being the big like the huge one that's
Yeah.
fighting for the #1 podcast on earth.
Yes,
Like,
actually.
which is crazy.
Yeah,
And so
man.
like just to be adjacent to that universe with Charlie, it's like I just started comedy like 2 months ago, you know?
Yeah.
Like I just dove into this. So
Straight into the fire.
yeah, no, it's sick though. I've been very ready for it. I've
That's
always
right.
loved comedy too. Like,
Yeah.
it's always been like a passion of mine, and I was hesitant to get into it because I really enjoy it, and I really enjoyed music until I started working in the industry. And like I'm like I don't want to do that with comedy. Like let this be my side thing that I love. But man, managing Charlie and Wyatt has been the most fun thing ever. Like
Yeah.
they're both so great to work with, and
Fuck
like
yeah.
it's brought a ton of other comics towards me. Like crazy opportunities that I like really couldn't have imagined a few months ago with both of them completely unrelated to each other. And so like yeah, I'm definitely in it for the long haul with those two. Like they're also so good.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
They're
That's like
so talented.
probably makes it more fun when they're actually funny as hell too.
Oh, dude, that's how I got Wyatt. I was a fan of his, and I just
Yes.
followed him, and I saw he was viewing my stories, and I was like, huh. I just kind of like asked him. I was like, so
Shot in the dark.
why are you following me? He was like, you know, like we're in different worlds. He's like, well, I see you're a manager and blah blah blah, and then we connected on it, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean, booked the whole year for him pretty quickly, and him and his brother are blowing up right now. I
For
mean,
sure.
just like 10,000 followers a week or something. Just
Jeez.
both of them going up.
Yeah.
I think Luke had 30,000 when I met him. Now he's at like 90, and that was like 2 months ago.
Dang, and how old is
Yeah.
he? Like
16.
16 years old. That's
Luca Branches is nuts, dude.
Yeah, he's
like
so funny,
He's
bro.
unreal,
Dude,
Like,
when I watched them in Phoenix that one night, dude, I was like, how do I not know these guys yet? That was the energy I had. I was like, these guys are so funny. Like, how have I never heard of them before?
yeah, and it's weird. You saw him at a bar.
Yes,
like
exactly.
and it's
Such
like
a small, low key.
they're
thing.
not doing that anymore. Like
Yeah,
they have a few
already.
of those shows left, and they're at the clubs.
Let's
Like they're
go.
at the biggest and best clubs in the nation. And Luke has his own team. Like I don't manage him, but I in a group chat that I talk to him pretty much every day because he tours with Wyatt. And so, dude, just it's Wyatt will get mad at me and Luke for just like joking around in the group chat. He's like, "Hey, we actually have to figure this out." I'm like, "Who's fucking manager here, buddy?" Like, you know, like it's funny to watch.
Today's episode is sponsored by Lantern Coffee, based out of my hometown, Grand Rapids, Michigan. If you're still sipping on that gas station coffee, this is your sign to get your life together. Lantern does coffee the right way. Whole beans, small batch, straight from the source. I personally get 2 bags a month myself. It's what fuels us here every day on Mars. If you want to taste what I'm talking about, go to lanterncoffee.com, use promo code ONMARS for 20% off of your first order. That's lanterncoffee.com. Use promo code ONMARS, 20% off your first order. Treat yourself, because friends don't let friends drink bad coffee. Let's get back to the show. Yeah, man. Hey, well, so before you got into comedy, before you got into music, you grew up in Washington. Is that right?
Yep.
So what was that like? What was before, the early days in Washington? What were your passions?
Tri-City, yeah, I'm from Tri-Cities, Washington, which is I used to like try to be proud of it. I hate that place now. And I can say that now, like now that I've sold the festival and
Yeah.
things are gone with that. I'm like, yeah, I hate growing up at Tri-Cities.
Mhm.
It's there if you want to do something there, you create it yourself. And so I threw open mics because we didn't really have open mics there. So I threw those. And then I threw smaller concerts like rap shows because we didn't have any rap shows. So I threw smaller ones of those. And then fast forward a few years, I always had the vision for the festival, always wanted to do that. And got in touch with the bigger investors, the city government, all of that. And basically went from throwing open mics as a teen to throwing the biggest festival in that area code in my 20s, and it was an experience. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, though.
Yeah,
like running a music festival. I'm gonna repeat that because I wiped my eye, and this could probably be a good clip. Like, running a music festival was the single hardest thing that I've ever had to do. From like my grandparents died, and like my grandpa raised me. Festival was harder than that. I've responded to overdoses. I like worked in the addiction community for a long time. Running a festival was harder than that. I mean, breakups, religion, trauma, everything I've ever dealt with, running a music festival was the single hardest thing I've ever done, and it's like undisputed.
Damn. So, I mean, with those early open mics that you're talking about, I mean, how old were you when you're doing it? You say as a teen, but like, how old are you talking? Like high school?
I was 15.
15 years old.
I think I was 13 when I started going to like these other open mics.
Okay.
And then, probably like, because I remember I took the bus there because I would still like bus around as a kid. And I remember I went to this open mic at Barnes and Noble, and I was like, this is the coolest shit ever. Like, dope. This is so dope. And I got involved with that community, but it was difficult. Like, I had a really difficult time socializing, having autism as a kid. And then just as a teen, it's hard to socialize in general. Yeah. And so having autism that we didn't know about made that very difficult.
Right.
And it was so I had a hard time like keeping and making friends. So at one point I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just start my own thing. And so I started throwing open mics at the library, and it caught a little bit of traction. But then that kind of got me involved with the local scene in the Northwest, and then that grew into basically a career of being like a promoter, if you will. And now I do management full time, which is what I kind of wanted to do in the first place, but the promoter life kind of like called me for a bit and took most of my time. But
for sure,
I think I was meant to be a manager.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just because of the nature of what you were doing, you kind of got pushed into like being a promoter because you were organizing the shows like that.
Yeah. I was good at it for what it was.
For sure.
Like, but in the Northwest, you create your own thing.
That's right.
Like, it's not like there's like, if you want a jazz club, you gotta go start it yourself. If you want a stand-up comedy open mic, you go make it on your own. So like it's growing, and like they're kind of people that are building that infrastructure there. But when you're in a really small conservative town like that, nobody's going to it. Nobody cares. That's ultimately why I parted ways with the festival, was because we can build the coolest lineup ever. And I think that was one of the most diverse, cool lineups I've ever seen. We had like 10 stages, and they were each a different genre, and like they each had a different vibe, and we had fusions and like all of these things, and people showed up, but ultimately the community didn't care. Like, and that's just kind of what it's like being in a small town. They're like, why would I go to a music festival when I can just go bowling or something? Like, it's just what small towns do.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when you're not in a place where entertainment is big, it's hard to make it in entertainment, and that's why a lot of people leave their hometowns to come to bigger cities like Phoenix, LA, New York, and all that. It makes sense. It 100% makes sense.
Yeah, no, I cashed in my chips. I was like, this was a vision executed. I had that exact vision at that exact stage from the time I was 14, and I was like, I want to throw a music festival at John Day Plaza. And we did it. I mean, it was, no one can ever take that away, and I think that's cool, because there was a lot of shit with that. Like, there was so much politics and just things that honestly didn't go that well. That like, I just rest knowing that like I did it, and I had a vision, and I brought it to life. I raised capital for it. I got the city government involved. I spoke at our chamber of commerce, dude, like all before turning 25. Like, that's nuts.
Yeah. I mean, you were a voice in the community, as they say.
and then that community didn't receive me, and I was like, that's okay. I'm going to go somewhere that does. Yeah. And like, you can't get too caught up in the local politics if you want to be in the entertainment industry. For sure. Ultimately, nobody really cares where you're from. They care what you do and how you do it. And so like, most of my contacts are remote. Like, most of them don't live in, the Phoenix area. Some of them do, and that's growing and changing. But I mean, ultimately it's making, in person and over the phone connections, and seeing people will see you as you are. And I think that's cool. Like, I think it's cool that we live in a world post-COVID where I have a really good relationship with, a said production company or label or something, and I've never met him in person.
Yeah.
Or like I work every day with this guy. Like I haven't met Wyatt in person.
Wow,
Like
that's
it's
wild.
well, yeah, I talk to him every single day, but we haven't met in person.
Yeah.
And we exchange money, we exchange info, we exchange like all these things, but I still haven't met him in person yet, which is kind of wild, but
Oh,
it's
that's
cool.
beautiful.
Like it doesn't really matter where you're from anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like how well do you do it?
For sure, man. 100%. Hey, Martians, real quick. I appreciate you taking the time to listen or watch wherever you are in the world. Over the last few months, the Martian family has grown so much. I could not be more thankful for all of my guests and every single one of you who continue to tune in every single week. Subscribers, ratings, likes, and comments all help us grow here on Mars. And it would mean the world. If you haven't already, please go to onmarspod.com/subscribe to subscribe on YouTube. Like and leave a comment, rate us on Spotify. All this good stuff helps keep the engine running to inspire Martians all over the world. P.S. Follow us on Instagram @onmarspod. Okay, let's get back to it. So I did find that you wanted to be a musician, a rapper at one point. Is that right?
Yeah, I was interested if you bring that up. I was hoping you wouldn't. You dove
I mean,
deep.
but it's like
You dove deep. I try not to talk about it because there's a lot of managers that still call themselves rappers, or they still call themselves artists or whatever, and like they manage so that they can push themselves into a world. So they'll manage an artist that's bigger than them and be like, "Hey, cool if I open up for you?"
That's right. Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not what I want.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Before you got into the management officially though, and that was the passion. But that's kind of like also one of those things, like as a creative, like you found a passion in it, and that's why you ended up, pivoting. And I want to talk about the transition now, like when you were deciding that you didn't want to be on like the artist side and you wanted to maybe go into the more business side. And what was that transition like before getting into the Get Down festivals?
I mean, that's a great question. And ultimately I was doing the promoting stuff as the rapper, and I would play, if I'm throwing the open mics, I'm going to perform at the open mic. I throw a show, I'll take an opening slot at the show. And I realized I'm way better at putting people on stage than being on stage. And most people can't and don't realize that. And they just die trying to be the artist. But the reality is there's a million different positions in this industry.
Yeah.
And if you find the one that you're actually supposed to be, you'll have success.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be a manager. My whole life, like I was supposed to be an artist manager. I am the cool white guy that handles emails for like rappers. You know what I mean? Like I am the one taking the phone calls, the one like making sure the green room's right, like creating spreadsheets, like so that entertainers can be entertaining. I'm not supposed to be an entertainer. Like, and that I think honestly, most people that are trying to be artists don't realize that.
Yeah.
Like there's a very select person, and like when Charlie walks in the room, you know that guy's an entertainer.
Yeah.
Even though he's really quiet, like, and kind of reserved as a person, you know that guy was born to be an entertainer. Same with Wyatt, same with any artist that I have. Like Afro Man, you can tell that guy's an entertainer from 3 blocks away.
Yeah.
Like, but most artists trying to make it don't think about there's other things I can do in music besides being the artist. And that is where most of them don't make it and kind of die, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's very important that you kind of had that realization with yourself early on, to the point where it's like you can double down on being the relationship guy, being friends with these people, putting them in the right rooms, and making sure that they can execute their passion on a high level. I think that's really what you do. It's like you create big moments for other people, and it's like you love that. That's your passion.
My dream is ultimately to make other people's dreams come true.
Ooh, love that. Dude.
That's what I do.
Yes.
And so like when you see your artist play their first big show, like their first 1,000 cap or their first, big festival or something like that, that's the coolest thing ever. Knowing that, I made the connection and put them in that opportunity. And when you can't do it for a thank you. You can't be like, oh, like, I hope that, I get recognized for this. If you do it for that, you're going to get eaten alive.
Facts.
But when an artist comes up to you and says, hey, thank you so much. Today was the best day of my life. I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
Like I will never in my entire life forget one of my acts coming up and saying that at Get Down, actually.
Oh,
like I remember some of the bigger acts were really excited to see this younger act, and it led to opportunities for them, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
Like it was a really cool experience, and that happens all the time. I mean, like you know, some of my comics are playing bigger clubs now, and they're like, hey man, thank you for that. Like I didn't, you know, I was trying to figure out how to do this and you did it, and like thank you. Like
For sure.
that is sick.
For
Like
sure.
that's
dude.
cool. But if you do it for a reason, if you do it for a thank you, like you're not gonna last long.
For
Like,
sure, dude. No, I've talked about that with a few different guests on here. Like when you go into it with the wrong intentions, like you said, you're gonna get eaten alive, and people see right through that
Yep.
shit. So I think you're in the perfect place to be. Your head's in like the right space, and you've had the entrepreneurial mindset since you were a kid, though.
Yep.
Doing that. So
yeah, no, when they asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, I always said an entrepreneur.
no way.
When
I
I was,
mean,
as soon as I learned what that word meant, I said I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, well, what do you want to be? Like, what kind of entrepreneur? I was like, I don't know. I just know I want to start something and own a company and do my thing. And it's funny because now I work for 1717 and I don't own that company and I work for someone else, but I'm still an independent contractor. Like ultimately, I manage and run my own division of this management company, if you will. And so
yeah.
I've always had the entrepreneurial thing. Like I would write that on my like little like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Entrepreneur, like as soon as I knew what it meant.
Dude,
So,
I love it, dude. So then now getting into a spot where you start Unleashed Entertainment.
yep.
And that's something that you started right before you did Uptown Get Down, which was the first.
Damn, you
fest-
really did your research.
Hey, man, I'm a
Like
professional,
you
bro.
actually really dove into this. Like, cause I was like, I wonder how deep he's gonna be able to go into this. You really looked. Yeah, I took that Instagram down too. So I'm interested. I'm like, how much does he know? This is it's a little Nardwar. I like it.
Hey, man. Well, you started Unleashed Entertainment to do things differently in the industry for the artist, being upfront with transparency, letting them know what's going on. So that way there's like not that weird shystiness going on.
Yep.
And I just want to talk about what was your mindset going into starting Unleashed?
Man, I dropped out of college and started Unleashed, and I said I want to create a company where artists can live in freedom, creative freedom, like financial freedom, like actual freedom, and it's gone okay. I mean, like it has a tremendous amount of ups and downs, and but yeah, I was going to school to be a pastor at the time,
Wow.
and then I was like, I was getting a biblical studies degree, and I learned I learned enough about the Bible that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore, and dropped out and entered the music industry, which was the most godless industry I could find. And and yeah, we've been doing it since. I've seen a lot of artists come across my plate. Some of them I still talk to every day. Some of them had a harsh ending, but that's just kind of the business we're in. It's difficult, it's raw, it's Hollywood, man. I mean, that's where we're at, and it's
For sure.
it's been an experience.
For sure, man. But it was cool that you were able to have like your own management kind of company before you started all these festivals. And I do want to talk about something that you brought up to me that you wanted to mention on the pod that I think is an important topic is being on the spectrum as a business owner.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about, especially in those early days of an Unleashed Entertainment when it maybe was still undiagnosed at that point. What kind of challenges were you seeing at that point, and what was that like starting a business being on a spectrum like that?
Oh, being an autistic entrepreneur is a journey. I mean, there's no way to fully encapsulate what it's like, but I mean, there's been a lot of moments where it's helped me. There's been a lot of moments where it's harmed me, and it has been a massive journey. I mean, it's hard to even like describe some of the things that have happened with it. I think a lot of people misunderstand what the autism spectrum is.
Yeah.
Whenever people are like, "Oh, we're all a little autistic," I'm like, that's not what that means at all. Like, there's a spectrum, and there is it's not like from regular person to like full blown
Cerebral palsy type.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
can't tie your shoes.
Yeah.
It's not like that. There's an
Right.
autism spectrum, and there is a top and a bottom of the spectrum. Bottom of the spectrum being, like very difficult to function, probably can't live on their own. Top of the spectrum being somebody probably like me, where it's more of a social thing. I might miss some social cues. I might have a hard time with just like smaller social things. I might talk in circles sometimes. I fixate on certain things. But what's been really interesting is having autism and having fixations. I fixated on the entertainment industry. And so I am so obsessed with the work I do that it's literally not human. Like, it is an actual part of having autism where I can focus so hard on something that it's unhealthy, but that gives me this insane advantage.
For sure.
Like, I will not stop working. Like,
Yeah.
I will go if I need to do something, like I will go, 8, 12, 20-hour days at some point. Like, the festival was like that, where I would just keep going because I never wanted to say that I could have given it more. And that's not sustainable.
Right,
and it's
for
not
sure.
sustainable, and it's obsessive, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would literally just fall asleep at my desk, wake up, keep going.
Yeah.
Like, that is not a healthy lifestyle, and I
Right.
wouldn't advise that.
Mhm.
But having autism allows me to fixate that much to the
Yeah.
point where, like, I think that's why you see a lot of CEOs on the spectrum, like Bezos, and Elon's the fucking idiot, but like, he's, that is a very autistic person, and that's why we can fixate in this superhuman way
Right.
that other people can't. And I think that's why you see a lot of autistic CEOs. Like, it's almost like putting your eggs in baskets. Like, I can't, like, I might lack a couple eggs in the social basket, but then there's 10 more in this like business basket.
Mm.
And it's interesting, but it's been incredibly difficult. There's
Yeah.
connections that I've lost. There's contacts that I don't have anymore, simply because I had, an awkward moment where I simply didn't understand something,
Yeah.
or, I saw something differently, or even just like, had, this person might have had a different understanding of autism, or, even something that might have like triggered, like a panic response.
Yeah.
Like, I just got a service dog recently,
Okay.
because he helps me stay grounded. And when you'll see people like have like autistic meltdowns, or there's probably a better term for it than meltdown, but you'll see people have those meltdowns, and it's like on the floor screaming, like curled up in a ball. It kind of reacts differently.
Yeah.
I have those. They're basically just panic attacks. And when I start getting like a little bit more frustrated, or something's not going right, it might be a super random thing, but like, I'll start feeling that, and then my dog can sense it. It's actually really cool. Like,
Whoa.
he'll come up, like, I'll just be like lap or something like that. He'll come hang out with me, pet him for a second. He really brings me back down to earth.
That's beautiful.
And I've lost connections because of those like micro panic attacks. And I pretty much lived in that zone for the entirety of the festival. It was so unbelievably intense. I was doing the job of normally a 20-person team. I was making our reels. I was doing all of the booking. I was, getting city permits. Like, I had a team, but ultimately I was doing like up to 20 different jobs.
Jeez.
That would, at your Coachellas, your bumper shoots, your, innings festival, like, they have, a 25-person staff. I had one, and it was me, and had some people helping out that were great, but
Yeah.
it would just put me into a survival mode. It was horrible. It was awful. And I was having, those kind of micro panic attacks on a hour by hour basis.
Yeah.
And it was horrible.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Well, you used it as a strength, it sounds like, and like
I try to.
Yeah, it's like even if you were kind of burning yourself out, but you were wearing a bunch of hats and you were working because that's what you wanted to do, and I think that's the biggest thing is kind of utilizing it to just create, and you were in it, but I think realizing that and getting your dog and being able to ground yourself, that's beautiful, man.
Yeah. I wish people understood more that like autism isn't like a curse.
Mhm.
That's something I had to go through therapy for. Like,
Wow.
autism isn't a bad or good thing. It is just a thing.
Mm.
And that's really difficult for people to grasp. Like, it doesn't, I've lost connections because of it. I've also made a lot of connections because of it. I've, totally fucked up pieces of my business having autism. I've also put a lot of pieces together because I have autism. Like, it's not a good or bad thing. It just is a thing. And I think if people understood it more, it would, I think it'd just go a lot further. People having, conversations like this, where
Absolutely.
it's like, no, not everyone's on the autism spectrum, or like, My favorite is when people say like, "You don't look like you have autism." It's like, well, what does autism look like?
Right.
Like, what does autism look like? You know, like I'm not. Dan Lamort has a great joke. He's a great comic. He says, you know, people will be like, "You don't look like you have autism," and he's like, "Well, yeah, I'm not out here chewing Legos."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
but
what am I supposed to be doing?
But if you see me start, you know, fixating on the Seattle Mariners or like old school hip hop or, you know, whatever fixation it is, you'll be like, "Oh, he definitely has autism." Like it's there's definitely points. Like it's even just the phrasing of something. The other day, this will be a great clip. The other day I was with my friend's baby. And it wasn't just us. Like we weren't just hanging out. It wasn't like my friend was also
disclaimer. Yes.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just me and the baby. Like that's
right. Yes.
I mean, I'm sure I could babysit, but that's probably not a good idea. But like the other day, I was with my friend's baby, and I was like, "Can I hold her?" And they were like, "Yeah, but wait for a minute, she might spit up." And I was like, "Oh, she could spit on me." And everybody was like, "Wait, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry, that was an autism moment. That's not what I meant. What I meant was like if you put the little cloth on there, like, and she spits up, that's okay."
Right.
But the way I said it came out really wrong, and that's a total autism moment.
For sure.
Like that's a thing. And so now we joke like, "Oh, make sure the baby doesn't spit on Caleb." Like it's just these moments that might come off socially awkward, or I might say something kind of weird, but that's not what I meant. And honestly, the hardest part, I think one of, if not the hardest thing about having autism is dating. So if Love on the Spectrum, the TV show, is great because it gives that perspective, but I live that shit every day, and it is extremely difficult because dating has so many nuances, and like there's so many small things, and like if you say one awkward thing, that might be it. You might turn this person off and the conversation's over. And like I'm a nice guy, I'm social, like I'm pretty normal, but like that word normal is a thing in autism, but like I'm a pretty regular guy.
Yeah.
But like, man, you just say one awkward thing, or you know, you have a disagreement, or something comes across wrong. Girls also have a million different nuances. So like these unspoken rules of dating, it's like so hard for autistic people to pick up. But whenever a date is going well, I always joke with them. I'm like, and if you look over there, you'll see the cameras and the Love on the Spectrum crew. They're coming out right now. And they're like, "Wait, what?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just messing with you." Like it's, my real life Love on the Spectrum dates every single time I hang out with a girl. I'm like, "Bring them out Netflix." Like,
it hits home.
I went to apply one time. I went on Netflix. I think I was watching like Too Hot to Handle or something.
Nice.
And I was like, I'd love to be on like a dating show or something like that. And I went on Netflix to apply for like just some show, a game show or a dating show or whatever. And I was like, "Oh no, I can't do this because they're totally going to put me on Love on the Spectrum." Like this is a terrible idea. Like I'm going to end, there's one show I'm going to get on and it's going to be that one. Like this is a horrible idea.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I do want to transition now into, meeting Darquin. And that's something that, changed everything when it comes to running Uptown Get Down.
Damn, you really went into this.
Come on, man. I'm a professional.
Like this is like, damn, like you went really deep. We had a really hard falling out at the end of it.
Tough.
And,
but it was the reason why you were able to kind of put Uptown Get Down together. One of the first people that kind of believed in you. On that level.
Yeah. To an extent,
because she was like the owner of the Emerald.
Yeah, she gave and took away in a lot of ways. I think it's a whole conversation to be had that I wouldn't have on a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We had a very difficult ending, but she did bring together some of those pieces to make the festival into a reality. And I'll always have that respect for her because of that. And she's also just a trailblazer.
Absolutely.
Like she
in the scene, especially.
Yeah, she made the first music venue there.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I worked very, very closely with her for a long time, and you know, business gets in the way sometimes and things don't work out. But it's someone I'll always have some respect for.
Yeah,
you know?
Good. I mean, well, that's cool, bro. And getting into a point where you were able to get Uptown Get Down off the ground, though, and I do want to talk about you talk about wearing a lot of hats, but you did have to build a little bit of a team around you to make sure that got executed at a high level. So how did you go about selecting the right people to surround yourself with to make sure that Uptown Get Down wasn't a flop, and because it was very successful.
Uptown Get Down sold out a
Yeah.
month in advance.
Exactly.
It was awesome.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Best day of my life was June 3rd, 2023.
Yes,
Uptown Get
sir.
Down. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It
Yeah.
was the best day of my entire life. And just watching my vision from childhood get executed was unbelievable. Uptown Get Down was 95% me and about 5% Dara, because she had to run her business and things of the such.
Yeah.
And she gave me some tools and we met. But I mean, it was ultimately came together with me at a coffee shop every single day, going to this coffee shop, putting together lineup and finding sponsors and all of these things. And her and I would meet once a week or so, and we kind of figured it out.
So you didn't really have a lot of people around you other than Dara?
I really had no one around me to put
wow.
on together Uptown Get Down.
Damn.
I had Dara, and that was about it.
Damn.
And that was the entirety of Uptown Get Down. Now, the day of, I had stage managers, and that, I mean, I had like security and things like that. People were hired out, and I knew how to pick good people. And then a lot of them ended up becoming a part of Tri-Town Get Down, where honestly, I doubt they'll ever see this, but like, I have a huge amount of respect for a lot of the team members I built, but I definitely picked a lot of the wrong people with Get Down. And if I would have kept it a little bit closer to home and done some things on my own rather than trying to expand so quickly, I might still have it. I might still be a part of it. It's all hindsight. You never know. But picking a team and people that are talented around you doesn't always mean you're going to be successful. Picking the right people in the right places and vetting them. I mean, just vetting them hard beforehand. Like, I picked a couple people that were great, but they weren't as, committed as I would have hoped. And they were so talented and did a great job of what they did, but they weren't as committed as, I needed them to be. There also were people that came along during the process and went way above and beyond what I ever could have expected. Yeah. And I think the hardest part of parting ways with the festival is all the like things that could be. Like, I know there's so many small things that you wouldn't think about that I would have changed in year 2, and it would have been great. Like, it would have fixed something entirely. Yeah. But you don't know it till you do it. And so, yeah, I mean, Uptown Get Down, that was my baby. Through it, sold out. Tri-Town Get Down was a massive expansion of that. Right. I mean, like, you're talking an unbelievable amount of money. And
over 1 year too.
Yeah, no, it was too fast. It was way too fast. And if I could do it all over again, I would have done Uptown for 3 years and then expanded that into Tri-Town in year 4 or 5. Yeah. But we moved too fast, and there were a few small things that like ticket prices. We should have had them lower and done a higher quantity and put more things in different places. That and now I know that, but didn't get the opportunity to change that because of the politics of what happened. Yeah. And it was hard. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, parting ways with that fest. I'm glad I did it now. For sure. And like I said, I can hang my hat knowing that I executed my vision and brought something that the community has never seen before, and honestly probably won't again. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll ever see a 3-day music festival of that size with that kind of artist and that thing in Tri-Cities. Like, I think they expanded it to like 5 days now, and it's like a local community type of thing. Like, it's all local acts, and like, it's kind of more like a local talent show than it is like a big festival like that. Right. And that's fine. Like, go for it. That's going to work better there.
It's your thing now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's going to work better, but it's not, that wasn't the vision I had for it. And at the end of the day, it was a crazy venture that took most of my life. And like, I can't believe I'm sitting here, and it's 2025. Like, I'm doing management stuff now. Like, I wasn't, like, it all just went by so fast. Yeah. I'm like, that, Uptown Get Down feels very, close. Like, it just kind of happened. But at the same time, it, like, that's 2 years ago, and things have changed, and the music industry especially, like, just goes and goes and goes and goes. Absolutely. And it's Yeah, it's wild to look back on the festival and be
Yeah,
like,
man.
that's what it happened. It's a thing. And it was a vision executed. And
Yeah, you check the box, man. And I think like having the success of Uptown Get Down, that's exciting, and that's probably why you got into a situation where you're like, dude, we got to do it bigger and better and all this stuff like so quickly. And that I can see like why you wanted to do it. But I do want to talk about, the Tri-Town Get Down and kind of some of the things that did go wrong. Like because of the fact that it's like, it was like the opposite of Uptown, whereas like there were some people like the narrative kind of changed. Like there's some people online that were like pretty unhappy with how things kind of worked out. And I just want to like from your point of view, you were running a lot of hats still, building a way bigger team, a lot more stages, a lot more acts to juggle. From your side of the street, like what happened?
oh man, I always think that this conversation is over and then it comes back and then somebody hits me or asks me what happened. And it's sure is nice to have somebody ask my perspective for a change because there were multiple articles that went up about me that I never got to tell my side of the story. There was a news story that went up that didn't ask me until after it got published. And at the end of the day, you have one person that is running a $250,000 budget and has to make all of these decisions.
Right.
And there's people that are not going to be happy and there's people that are going to be happy. And if you talk to any artist that played that festival, they were happy. There was not one artist that went and played that day that didn't get paid, that didn't have a good time, that didn't get, like we had catering, we had like cookies with their names on it, like AC, free water, all of those things. There's I think like 75 acts or something. It was supposed to be 100, but there was like 75 or something that ended up playing. Not one of them had a bad experience. And you can go ask any of them from, Kyle and Hubble Johnson all the way down to like Josiah Davis and, like Protesy, like these local acts.
Yeah.
And none of them had a bad experience. And I don't know why like Reddit and the media never asked them what happened because it was like they all had a great time. But there are a couple people that just took a lot of I still don't fully understand why or how like some of the things I said were taken so out of context.
Yeah.
Also some shit that was just made up.
For sure.
Mean,
damn.
like some like yeah, it's funny. I went through a lot of therapy about this. It sent me into a really dark place. And I like if somebody comes across this that pulled it up on Reddit, like I would love for them to know that like you guys fucked me up. Like you guys literally made me want to kill myself for months. And I'm like vulnerably sharing that on the internet to the point where I had a creation that you guys shit on so hard that I had an active suicide plan for like 6 months after it because you guys were so fucking mean to me. And like, you have no idea what it's like to run a $250,000 budget and have to execute everything perfectly and get, work with the city, work with investors, work with people. And then the moment that you make any kind of mistake, it's all over the internet and people just shit on you.
Right.
I did my best and I know I did my best and I had great intentions with this and people were so goddamn mean that like I almost killed myself last year. I swear to God that actually is a thing that happened and then didn't think I'd talk about that today on the podcast, but like, that's what happened is I like lost my entire self to running this festival. Like it was so intense. I mean, if I gave someone $250,000 and said run a music festival, and I don't think somebody could have done it better. I think they would have made different mistakes. They would have made, there would have been different areas where they did different things. They would have had a different lineup. They would have had different people. But there's no way that you can't make mistakes. And what's unfortunate about that is I never got the opportunity to correct those. Yeah, so I just cashed out. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I literally am sitting here. My hair was falling out. I gained a ton of weight, like physically exhausted, mentally exhausted. My, mom and partner at the time were like, I don't even, like, you barely even get to talk to us. Like, you barely even see us. Like, it was so fucking intense. And that's why I said, like, I've responded to overdoses, people dead on the ground where I gave them Narcan, and that was my job for a while. that was way easier than running this festival. Way easier. Losing, like, my grandpa was my dad. My grandpa raised me. Losing my dad, way easier than running this festival. I mean, it was so insanely intense this whole time. Like, of course I got angry at some point. Of course I like snapped on somebody at some point. If this doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I don't know what I'm going to do for work. I just found another job in January. So after the festival, like, I kind of knew it was coming to an end. It took me until January to even find another job. So, like, the financial struggle of that, like, you know how hard it is to be unemployed for 6 months because your whole job was running this fest that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. Like,
to do it with so much passion, too, as the guy with the target on his back because you're the face of the company, that sucks, man. And especially because you were doing it as best as you can with the resources that you had available, as you know, as at the highest level that you could do. And I think that is really shitty of people, and there's probably like a hive mindset that happened too when it's like when one person starts shitting out, it's like, yeah, you know what, you're right, even though they don't even know the shit behind the curtain. They don't see any of the things happening. They don't understand how much work goes into running something like that. And I think it's very important that, like, you said this, like, I'll give someone $250,000 and say go run a festival. They're probably not going to do it at like the level where people expected you to take it to, especially in a community like that, doing it on the level that you were doing it
we
at.
had a committee that I put together. There was several different investors of the fest, and one of them was a super high-end law firm. And he really guided me through the process. Big multi-million-dollar CEO, super helpful. He told me at the end of it, he says, I don't believe that someone could have done better than you did. And had you known a couple of the things you know now, I know you would have changed it.
Already.
But unfortunately, with the circumstance that we're in, we just have to take a new direction. And you can't argue that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's just like he understood the whole time what happened. And dude, there were narratives. There were people on the team that had deliverables and percentages of the festival, like little small percentages, and they instead of doing what they were contractually obligated to, they went out and did a bunch of drugs and completely abandoned their position. And then when festival time came, they were like, "Where's my money?" And I was like, "You didn't do your job, dude."
Yeah.
Like, and then they went on Reddit and Facebook and just shit on me, you know, like,
dude.
and then like the articles, it was like, man, like, you guys didn't even ask me. Like, no one asked me my perspective on this.
Yeah.
Like, every single artist got paid, all of them. Like, where does this narrative even come from? Like, did you ask one of the artists that got paid? Like, no, you didn't. You guys just, like, it's this insane narrative that, I mean, looking back, it's been a year. I just realized it's been about a year since Get Down happened, and a year since the press came with that. Like, was Uptown Get Down a letdown? Like, was one of the headlines. And I was like, you know, do it yourself. Like, could you like go walk and spend a day doing what I was doing?
Right.
Like, a single day.
They'll quit.
No, no one would have done it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it again.
For sure.
That's part of why we had the conversation about me selling my shares, because I was like, this needs to change. I can't do this for another year. Like, I will literally die. And I almost did. I literally almost died for this festival. Like, it got to a point where I was so mentally drained and physically just like, I couldn't take it anymore. And it came about December of this last year where I literally almost killed myself. Like, I had an active plan. I knew when, where, how I was going to do it. And I'm really glad I didn't. I mean, looking now, thank God I got a dog and, you know, like, figured my shit out and moved on. And, you know, life is great. I'm glad I'm here. And I really try not to think about the festival because it is such a sore point for me. I got an email yesterday about it. And I'm just, you know, hey, I don't do that anymore. I'm in the management space. Like, and I love the management space. It's what I probably was supposed to be doing the whole time. And I always managed artists during the festival. And I love doing that. I mean, it's cool. Like, I love being a manager.
Yeah, man.
And it's probably what I was supposed to do. And if anybody asked me You know, would you do it again? No. Am I glad I did it? Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Like I brought, you know, Hubble Johnson and Kyle and 100 artists to John Dane Plaza. Like, no one's ever done that, and no one ever will do it again.
Yeah, man. No, and I think it's important too that like not only that you like realize that I wouldn't do it again, but if I was gonna do it again, in before we even started talking about this, you were saying like I would have done this, and these things. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but like you know how you would have done it differently, and that's the biggest thing. It's like these people that are shitting you online, just like shitting on you online, don't understand how hard it really was.
And I wouldn't have done so. I wouldn't have done a lot of things if I knew that too.
Right.
Like if I would have known how, like if I would have known certain things I said would have you know, been certain ways, I absolutely wouldn't have said them.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have done certain things. I wouldn't have booked probably the bottom half of the lineup in reality if I had known that that's how they would act, because I come from a professional music environment. I'm not an indie DIY kid. I know what it's like to be in, you know, label offices and work with Live Nation and like these big music festivals, and like the DIY kids were pissed about that. Like they were like, that's not how we do things. And I'm like, okay, well then don't play. Like ultimately, like there's a level of this that there's a certain type of act that I want to book for this festival, and if you don't fit the criteria, that's fine.
Right.
But I mean, there's a lot of things I wouldn't have said, and there's a lot of things I would have done differently, and it's always sucks wondering what I could have done differently, and knowing like, man, if I would have just changed the ticket prices here, and if I would have just, you know, not booked this act, and if I would have, you know, kept the team smaller and older. Like we had a really young committee. Everybody was in their 20s except our lawyer and like our lawyer and a couple other people. And like, man, I wish I was the youngest one, because a lot of people in their 20s, like, yeah, it was great for talent buying and putting together a lineup, but like they didn't understand the high end business of it.
Absolutely.
But give somebody $250,000, ask them to throw a festival. I guarantee you they would have made an equal amount of mistakes as I did, if not worse. Right. And they might have been different mistakes, but there's no way that somebody would be able to do this perfectly.
Yeah.
And that's what was expected. Yeah. And I did everything I could.
For sure, man. And now I want to talk about, you know, getting into the sale of it. And it, you know, obviously it came from a position where you're like, I gotta walk away. And I think that's like a healing thing in a sense where it's like, I checked the box. I fulfilled my dream as a kid. I ran the festival. You guys don't love it? All right, fuck it. Have it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a very big thing for you, because you could have easily like, no, like try to fight for it and like push yourself into like a hole even deeper, and like when people aren't even respecting you to begin with. And I think the biggest thing, the best thing you could have done was walk away from it, take your shares, and, you know, still have that feeling of like, I did it. I think that's so important. And talk about like the sale of it and what that felt like. You know, I know it was probably bittersweet in a sense.
I mean, it was selling my stake of the festival, which was the highest stake of it, as the founder, was not my first choice. I did not initially want to walk away from it. I had a whole sheet of, this is what I want to do for year 2, and this is some of the lineup directions I want to go. I had a whole sheet of year 2
already,
and I walked in with to our owners meeting, and they basically said, Caleb, you did a great job, but you can't be in this position again. And I was like, okay. And it was very upsetting, and I was like, you know, you guys are basically like Steve Jobs and me. You want to like buy me out of my own company. And they were like, don't look at it like that. Look at it more like a Bill Gates, where, you know, you're going to take a different role that's equally as important, and you can be, you know, like our lead consultant. We want you to be very much part of this. We just want you to be a different piece of the operation. And then that shit never happened.
Yeah.
That part, and I still think about that all the time, because it was just a fucking lie. And that, it, to this day, still pisses me off, because I'm like, I was supposed to still be very much a part of this. And then basically was just like, ignored and put on the back burner to a point where I didn't have any involvement. And it was like, you know what? I'll take the buyout. Like, I'll take it. I'll sell my piece of it. And I did. And it felt like a big weight lifted off my shoulders that I don't have to deal with it anymore. And somebody sent me the poster of the new like lineup and the new festival and what that is. And I was like, I don't want to see it. Like, I don't care. Like, I was like, I really don't care. And I think that dropped in like January or something. And I just saw it for the first time in June. Yeah. So I never saw it. I never think about it. I guess they renamed it. I guess they changed everything. And what really is funny to me is they're like out with the old and in with the new. And I'm like, you're using all my fucking documents. Like, you're using everything that I built. This isn't out with the old and in with the new. It's let's take Caleb's infrastructure and everything that he built. They made me send them their spreadsheets just so they could put a different logo on it. Like, you know, they send them the sitemap I used just so they could put a different logo on it. Like, okay, whatever, man. I do like
it's just rebranding.
I completely don't think about it. And there's one, well, aside from my mom, there's one other person I talk to in Tri-Cities still, which is crazy given the network I had there. I mean, like I said, I spoke at the Chamber of Commerce. That's like all the businesses and CEOs, and like it's still so crazy to think about. Like, I spoke to the city of Richland and like, you know, all of these different like people and places. And
now it's like it never happened. It's like,
well, dude, I literally there's one person I still talk to in Tri-Cities, and he was he's a pastor of this very liberal church there, and I worked at the Uptown Theater for him at one point, and he's it. That's the only guy I still talk to. I mean, every single other it's so out of sight and out of mind for me. Like, I have completely moved on from that phase of my life. And it's kind of interesting to talk about it on the podcast because it's like it's reflective. And it's funny because if you go, I was just thinking about this, if you go on my Instagram, like, it's a lot of festival stuff and you see like all the festival, man, that hasn't been my life in a while. I mean, really about a year. That hasn't been really on my mind. I've been really focused on management and building the roster, and God, I love building it. I love management. It's so much, it's just where I wanted to be. It's better. And it was very difficult, but you know, therapy and good people around you, and you know, time really will heal things. Absolutely. And that's what happened. I mean, I remember I had this therapy session and I just broke down. I mean, I was just crying my ass off. And she was like, Caleb, this is the session that I've wanted from you for the past 6 months. And I was just kind of like, why would you want me to cry my eyes out? And she's like, because you're finally grieving the festival.
Right. That's interesting. I think talking about it was something that I really wanted to bring up because it's part of your story and it's part of your healing journey. And now it's like transitioning to something you do love, you know, 1717. Right after you finish the festival grind, you know, you get into a situation where maybe you're not owning the company, but you found a home in a sense.
Yep.
And I want to talk about that transition and how did you get connected with 1717?
Oh God, I'm so much happier at 1717.
Hell yeah.
When somebody else is running the company, like if you've been an entrepreneur for long enough, you will see that it's not fun, but like having that control is great. But I mean, at some point, like, not everybody can be the boss and not everybody has to be the boss.
Right.
And so I started with 1717 in January.
Right.
I think they started the company 6 months before that.
Oh, damn.
And I was the first manager they brought on. So the goal is to expand into sports and music is what we do now, but like we want to expand into sports and comedy and just be a management company, kind of like the 3-letter, you know, agencies like, you know, WME or CIA. Yeah, all of those. Like the goal is to be equivalent of that in the management space.
Right.
And so I was the first manager they brought on, and then they're bringing on more all the time. But it's awesome. I actually just told them pretty much the story I told you like just yesterday. Funny enough, like I was just like, this is what happened with the festival, and this is why it hurt, and the grieving process and healing. So it's really kind of wild that you brought it up because I just opened up to him about that yesterday. Wow. And dude, it's been awesome. Like Tim Leftwich is the biggest mentor in my life. I talk to him more than anybody else. He's done a lot for me. He really pulled me out of the trenches when he didn't know I was in the trenches.
Right.
And it's not fun and games, but sometimes, we we go out in Scottsdale and have a good time. And he's really turned into like almost a father figure for me in a lot of in a professional sense. Like in a like I always wanted to, have like major label artists I manage. So the first major label artist I managed, Ro Capara, he actually just dropped today, which is awesome.
Hell yeah, go stream.
And he's the first major label artist I've managed.
Beautiful.
And so Tim and I do that. We co-manage him. It's so we talk about it all the time and do the co-management thing, and it's great. Like it's really cool because I get to watch him work with the label and how that relationship is, and then I do some of the more back end stuff and finer details, whatever it may be, and I just watch him work with this label so that I can learn not only like how does he interact with it, but like how to do it right.
Yeah.
And things like I didn't know a lot about publishing, and then Tim was like, come to this publishing meeting with me, like, and just sit in. Learned a bunch about publishing. I can really explain that to artists better now. Like all those things that, like, I managed Afro Man. Right. I had triple platinum management client at one point with him, and like I know how to manage. But then he's taking me to that next level, and it's awesome. Like I love it, and that's what I wanted the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's been awesome.
Yeah, dude. To find Tim, or to have Tim find you, and kind of like you be able to meet him where he's at. You've been doing your thing, he's been doing his thing, and now you guys communicate together and move forward together. I think that's a beautiful place to be, especially when you were at some of the darkest places of your life.
Yeah, he had no idea either, which is cool because he just pulled me out of that. And not only did he like he's invested in me more than anyone ever has. Yeah. Not in terms of finance, in terms of just time and teaching. Right. Like we joke that I'm his oldest kid because like he just had a baby and like, and I moved to Scottsdale. It's partially because he's out here and the other managers that we have are out here, but I just love it out here. It's great. And I love this place, but like now, I hang out with him on a pretty regular basis, and like, it's like he had no idea. I mean, he had no idea that I was going through the shit that I was going through, and he just not only like pulled me out of that, but like put me in a position that I want to be in, where I can still do this full time and do it well and build relationships, and it's awesome. That's really cool. It is. Man. It is.
Yeah, those things happen for a reason when they happen, and divine timing is a real thing. So I think that was all supposed to happen when it happened for a reason. So
same with the comedy stuff, man. I mean, that was never a plan of either of ours.
Right.
I just DM Wyatt, or we started talking a little bit, and now we have this comedy department. And it's kicking ass. Like the comedy department is really successful right now. Yeah, and it's great. I love it. It's fun. We're expanding it and doing all kinds of things there. But
fuck yeah, man. So I mean, Wyatt was the first kind of delve into comedy, and I mean that's something that you guys are doing now at 1717. So I want to talk about Charlie Mack a little bit though. Like, how did that connection happen with Charlie Mack, and was that like right before he went on KT? Or
no, I beat everybody to the punch. Okay, I beat every single person to the punch. I watch Kill Tony pretty regularly.
Yes,
and the episode comes out at like 6 or something, 7. I don't know, sometime in the evening.
Right.
And
6 p.m. AZ time,
something like that. Like I actually don't know. I know it's somewhere around like 6 Austin time, 7. I don't know.
Yeah.
The YouTube premiere is usually on in the evening, somewhere around 7, right?
Yep, every Monday.
So I'm watching Kill Tony, and they get to the end, and Charlie comes up, and he's hilarious. Yes. And then there's lots of funny people in KT every week, but he was like really, really funny.
Yeah.
And I watch a set, he gets the golden ticket, and I immediately look up his Instagram, and I'm like, if this guy doesn't have management, we're jumping on this, because every agent in the book is going to hit him up. Every manager in the book is going to hit him up. So it is 11:30 at night. Charlie has the thing on his Instagram where you can't DM him unless he follows you. So I follow Charlie or something like that.
Right.
And so I follow Charlie. It's midnight, I think. And I call Tim, and Tim has a newborn baby, and it's midnight, and he's asleep, and I call him, and Tim is like, Caleb, why the fuck are you calling me right now? And I was like, this is a big one. Trust me, we got it. I need you to message this guy, because this just happened like 2 hours ago. There's no way any other agents have gotten to him yet. If we can get this guy, this is going to be like Kevin Hart, dude. Like this is good. Like this guy's gonna be huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Charlie messaged me back at like 12:30. Say, okay, so that's Monday. Episode came out. His set is like the very last set. So let's say it was like 9:30. He messaged me at 12:30. The next morning we meet at 12 our time. So it's been about what 12, 13, 14, 15 or so hours since Charlie's been on Kill Tony. We have a conversation about management. He says, cool, I'm in. And
Wow.
and then every single agent in the book, every manager, every club, every single person wants a piece of Charlie Mack right now. But we just beat him to the punches. And honestly, it's perfect because Charlie operates so similarly to how Afroman operated.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so similar to work with him as it was to Afroman. But Charlie's, I'm not, yeah. Well, that's another story. That's another podcast. But like, but yeah, dude, he happened to be in Phoenix that Sunday.
Yeah.
And we all hung out. He did the podcast here. Like,
Right.
and I mean, I booked the full world tour for him in 8 days. He's just that in demand right now. And I've never, that's the first time in my management career, hopefully not the last, where I couldn't physically keep up with how many things were coming in.
Wow.
And I actually think just today it started to slow down a little bit, and then he's on Kill Tony again next week, so it'll just be the same thing. And
Yeah.
like that's just gonna keep going. And I mean, it's so like, yeah, pretty crazy,
Dude, I love it, dude. I mean, that's how things happen. Like I said, divine timing. You were there, the right place, right time, and you messaged me at like 2 a.m. I remember, and you're like, "Yo, sorry for the late text, but we gotta do this."
I think that was the day I got him too.
Yeah,
I think
that
that
must have been because it was like 5 days before we actually got him on.
I didn't sleep for that whole first like 8 days I had Charlie, really.
Damn.
I mean, we're just now starting to get back into a regular routine with him.
Right.
I told him, I was like, dude, I promise I won't always text you this much, but like there's so much momentum right now.
For sure.
This guy was prepared to sell 10 books. He has sold thousands in the past
broke
couple
his
of weeks.
website 8 times.
Yes, website broke 8 times. We actually just today got the new website up for him. It's
Fuck
great.
yeah.
funnycharliemac.com.
Go fucking
funnycharliemac.com.
Buy tour tickets. He just dropped his Euro tour as well.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So we dropped the US tour last week. We dropped the Euro tour this week.
That's right.
2 weeks before that, it was when he was on Kill Tony. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. That
It's happening
Monday to
fast.
Friday. Yeah, it has. And man, like I love working with this guy.
He's the funniest dude. He's such a cool
So
guy.
nice.
Like
he's so easygoing.
Yes, man.
He's really easy. A lot of times you'll get artists and that have success, and they have a way that they've done things. Even on a smaller level, artists have success in the way they've done things. Charlie is like, ultimately, I trust you and what you're doing, and if you know that it's going to be good for my career, like you're a professional, I need management, like, and I know that you're looking out for me here, and it's true. And so like we have a really good relationship. Like I love working with Charlie, man. He's so much fun. Like
yes,
and
dude.
our text threads could be like a meme page. Like it's like we text the funniest, most outrageous shit back and forth, and then I'll be like, also I have this really important business thing that I need to do right now.
Yeah.
But like
That's
if we don't sign this contract, we're gonna lose money. But like, but that's in like the middle of memes. Like
For sure,
Yeah.
dude. I love that you can have that type of relationship, but then also be on the business tip. And Charlie does what he does very, very well. So, and you do what you do very well. So the fact that you guys are able to meet there again, you know, meet and communicate on that level, that's the key, man. Because it's like if he wasn't able to operate at a high level, you might not be able to have as much success with him. So I think it's the same way, like all the successes that you've had in the past, you've been able to meet people where they're at and help them elevate. And, you know, like you said, your dream is to make other people's dreams come true. And I think that's something that you're doing for Charlie. Like he already started in like in one of those low percentages of people that make it because of the fact that he started in his 30s. So the fact that he's now going on a world tour, US tour and a Euro tour, and he's about to be on Kill Tony again as a golden ticket winner. Like there's
and
just
again and again after that.
Of course,
Yeah.
he's part of the universe now, and he's only gonna go up from here, and you guys are gonna grow
Oh,
together.
he's gonna be huge, dude.
I can see him being. I told him on the pod, I was like, dude, I can literally see you having like the Tom Segura's and the Shane Gillises of the world that are able to produce their own stuff and have people behind them, and then just get distribution and all that. Dude, that's like it's a matter of time at this point. And
It's a long-term strategy with him too. a lot of people, even the agents that are reaching out to him, they're not thinking of, they're like, you have a moment right now and I want in on it because you're going to be big. I'm like, okay, yes, you're having that moment right now, but we want to think in terms of a year and 2 and 5 years from now so that it's a sustainable growth. He's not going to sell thousands of books a week forever, but we got him a merch company because he is going to continue to sell thousands of books.
Right.
And so we got him like, the infrastructure there. We got like, we revamped the website and some of his social pages just to like when people could find him easier, like all of these things that honestly he wouldn't, like not one person could do, you
Right.
need a team around you, which
sure.
seems to be a theme of this episode. And like, yeah, you just gotta have people around you that really care and are good people and that work well together. I've
For
had plenty
sure.
of really talented artists that are insanely good, but they just don't make sense to work with me.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's
Like,
exactly right.
It's totally okay.
Yeah, man. And like to have someone like Charlie who's so passionate about what he does, and then you can fill in the blanks and be passionate about what you do. I think that's a key to having that team because he doesn't have time to think about all that extra business shit really right now because he needs to focus on being Charlie Mack.
And
You know
being
what
on
I'm
the
saying?
road too. I mean,
For sure.
like you can't ship out merch while you're touring.
No.
Like that doesn't work.
No.
And so, and then even just like strategy,
For
like
sure.
it's like if you're booking all your shows yourself, like you can't put as much strategy into the where, when, and how. So like he's doing a lot of like features and opening sets for June and July,
Yeah.
knowing that he's going to be on Kill Tony again and that we're running ads and got his viral clips. And so he's going to do a lot of those like opening feature slots. And then in August, he'll start like a lot more headlines so that he has the audience in all of these cities and his social numbers are going up. And like by the time August rolls around, he's going to have a lot more following. He can sell more tickets, etc. It's like if I'm the one touring, I'm not really going to think about that.
Yeah.
Like I, on the back end behind the computer as a manager, like can think about that. And it's my job to think about that. And I like thinking about that.
Yeah.
It's a strategy and there's pieces of the puzzle and they all come together. And
yeah, dude. No,
Yeah.
it's an exciting place for both of you guys because I mean, yeah, like you said, he's only going to get bigger within the next 1, 2, 5 years from now, and I'm excited. I mean, we were talking about like he was saying that he's going to turn his books into potentially like cartoons and stuff like that. I'm like, bro, yes. It's like, and he came from a place of DIY mindset, so I think that's something that he still has that in him. So it's like that's not going to change, and he's going to be able to still produce his own stuff, write his own things, and have that DIY, but not with an engine behind it of 1717, dude.
yeah, he's a hustler too. I mean,
Fuck
like,
yeah.
he's a perfect artist for me, man. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, there's a lot of factors and nuances to go into the artist manager relationship, and the relationship I have with him is just perfect.
Yeah.
I hope this clip ages well. Like, I hope there's not like some giant TMZ feud that happens one day.
Nah, dude.
Like,
Nah,
but
you
like,
guys will be straight.
because he is like, I love working with this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
there is really like, there's like really no issues. It's awesome. Like,
Good, man.
every artist is different to manage, whether it's comedian, whether it's musician, something else. Like, they're always they're always going to have areas they're stronger in, areas they're weaker in. Some are really good at networking and connecting with people. Some are really good at socials and like marketing. Some of them are, they just all have like their strengths and weaknesses, and it's his are really complementary to mine,
Yeah.
and it's great.
Yeah,
Like, it's been comedy's been a really fun branch. It's
Yes, dude. I love it. And you're just getting started. I love it, dude. I mean, so I mean, with 1717, it's
2
like,
months in.
yeah, it's like that's the beginning, and you're already doing things for one of the rising stars in the comedy scene. And I think
Two of
that's-
them, honestly.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
like,
Wyatt's already huge too. Fuck,
yeah, Wyatt's like, I mean, Wyatt's fun to work with too. He's both Wyatt and Charlie are way more serious behind the scenes than I thought.
Yeah,
Like, because
they're professionals.
and they are, but I'm not like that. I'm
Yeah.
always sarcastic, like always just joking around about stuff, and like it's fun. I'm just a person first is like kind of how I describe my leadership style. Like, I always want to be a human being before I'm a manager.
Yeah.
And and yeah, man, it's interesting to talk with. Like, Wyatt especially is extremely strategic, like very strategy driven. Charlie's an entertainer through and through. Like, he is supposed to just be entertaining, and I think he's one of those people that are born to be an entertainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
But but Wyatt's a nerd, bro. I love him. Like he's such a like calculated person, and that's why his socials do so well because he's super calculated.
Yeah.
And like um and yeah, it's fun. They're very different from each other to work with, and I mean they both take up a lot of my time right now because they're doing so well. And I mean they have I'll tell you after, because if it doesn't get announced, it'll be a thing. But like
Yeah.
they each have a really big opportunity with like the biggest names in comedy. Wyatt has one over on his side, and Charlie has one on his side. I mean, it's like like top 10 type of comics, and so
It's
they are
exciting.
doing very well.
Yes,
And
dude.
and it's fun. But so are the musicians. I mean,
Yeah.
music is ultimately why I got into this, and it's awesome. It's fun.
Yeah, man. And with 1717, you guys do music still and you do comedians now. And I guess like on your day to day, because of the fact that Charlie and Wyatt are going so crazy right now, that's kind of what your focus is at the moment. And is
Kinda.
that just because it has to be? And like, I guess moving forward with 1717, is that still part of your like responsibilities with the musicians? And are you still having to, talk to musicians on a day to day basis with
Oh yeah, I talk
1717?
to pretty much all my artists every day.
Awesome.
And it's, I mean, you never want like a favorite child dynamic where
Right.
like one art like it's pretty rare that you actually talk about your other artist in a lot of ways to your other artist. Now
Mhm.
in the comedy space, Wyatt and Charlie like kind of watch each other and
sure.
follow each other and have different careers and different things, and like
Right.
but there's not a lot of overlap. Like they have no idea about what goes on with like Rhyme and Leon. Like they don't
Okay.
know. It makes no difference in Charlie's wife what happens with like Ro. Like that like there's no connection there whatsoever. And it's cool because it's a completely different hat that you put on.
Right.
Like yeah, I mean there's no similarities. We joke about like the 1717 roster and how like there's like you've got like a shadow rapper that's just killing it for one of our other managers, and then you've got Charlie. Like these are nothing alike.
Yeah.
But like it is cool. It's a fun piece of management.
Yeah,
and
it's sweet that you can have them both exist on the same like label in a sense, like management label.
management. Yeah.
And I guess like that's kind of what you were saying, like the CAAs of the world, like that's kind of what they do too, where it's like they don't just manage musicians, they don't just manage, but sports people or whatever the fuck, so athletes, sports people. So you can tell,
like
I'm
like
not in the sports
SB
world.
projects like Scooter Braun's
Yeah.
management company. Like there's
Yes,
you've got lots of different types of entertainers on there. Like that's
absolutely.
one of the bigger management companies. And like some management companies stick to a genre or a certain type of thing. I know that the vision for 17 is to be very multi-dimensional.
Yes.
And so that's cool. Ultimately I just work for them, and that's like it's great. I do my thing, and I have a roster that is pretty cool right now. It's building a lot though. I have a couple spots that I'm looking to fill because ultimately hip hop's been my thing forever, and I don't have any rappers right now. This is the first time in my whole career I haven't had one.
Wow.
And it's really interesting. Like that was how I started this. It's why I did this. And yeah, right now I got 2 empty spots that I'm looking to fill with some really great rappers. So
Dude.
there's a very select criteria there, and why there's probably a few that we could have had already, but like
Yeah.
there's very specific, like we don't want to just manage you for a year. Like we want like a 20-year career with you. That's the goal. And so it's getting into that and doing there's so many niche nuanced things of like building your roster, and
Yeah.
it's your roster is kind of your currency as a manager.
Absolutely. And I mean, you're someone that likes to put people in places, so you're always looking out for the next thing too. And there was a question that I had that's actually not on here, but I just kind of came to me like, when you are looking for, musicians and artists and whatever field, what do you look for?
I have 3 hoops that you have to jump through in terms of management. There's talent, there's work ethic, and mindset. Those 3 things are what I look for in an artist that I manage. So talent doesn't just mean that you're a talented artist. Like you could be amazing musically, but if you're not talented on the business end and the networking end, you won't be able to make it in this industry. You have to have some kind of understanding of people and how this business works,
Mm-hmm.
and be talented in that area as well as your musical or
Art,
comedic
yeah.
talent. So there's talent, the work ethic. I mean, if you're lazy, you're not gonna make it in this industry. That's just how it is.
Facts.
The work ethic, it's pretty cut and dry. You gotta hustle. You gotta want it. And then the mindset is what takes me the longest to figure out. Is what's your mindset? Why are you doing this? How do you work? And like, do you have that kind of like, I'm going to be the biggest artist in the world mindset? Because if you don't, then you're not going to reach that potential.
Right.
Like you got to believe that you can do it. And so talent, work ethic, mindset is kind of what the hoops I've always wanted artists to jump through for management. Also now there's just a threshold of numbers.
Yeah.
Because if you're not at a certain, and this pisses artists off, and this is actually a controversy of Get Down, is why won't you work with artists under a certain amount of monthly listeners? And I'm like, well, because they need to sell tickets.
Yes.
And they need to make money. Like,
Right.
and this was a huge thing with Get Down of like, what, you don't care about the locals? Of course I care about the locals. That's why I'm throwing a festival with them on it. But if you can't sell tickets, this is a business, and you have to understand that I have to sell tickets as a promoter. You
Yes.
have to make money as a manager.
Right.
Like, managers are commission based. It's
Right.
typically between it's a 10 and 20%, usually 20.
Right.
And if you don't make a certain amount, it doesn't make sense for a manager to take you on.
Yeah.
And so they say like it's Tim says all the times like a lemonade stand. Like, you don't need somebody to manage a lemonade stand. It could be the best lemonade in the world, but you don't need a manager for that. But when you start becoming a full-scale restaurant with multiple locations and multiple factors and things happening, you're going to have to hire a manager. And where some artists mess up is that they don't want to give up any control.
Right.
So now if you have a Tempe location and a Scottsdale location, you can't be at both at once. You need to hire a manager for each of those, and then you can be the general manager that oversees both of them. But if you just have a lemonade stand or like a food truck pop-up or something like that, you don't need management for that. You need to focus on making the best product you can so that you can scale upwards.
Yeah.
It's the exact same thing with music.
Mhm.
If you don't have at least 100,000 monthly listeners and 10K followers, I can't really do anything for you because I literally have a list of 2,000 artists between 300,000 and 350,000 monthly listeners. Just that threshold, and that's just like a small one.
Right.
There's so many artists, and like ultimately we have to make a living. And so the talent, work ethic, and mindset is great, and that's what I look for as a manager. But at this point, you have to be, financially viable for a manager to want to take you on, or a label, or
Yes.
even like shows and promoters.
Exactly.
It's just a dollar and cents thing. And that was a huge controversy with Get Down. They're like, oh, you don't want artists to have, less monthly listeners. Like I said, I wouldn't have posted this if I had known the consequences that came with it. But I said, why do artists with more band members than monthly listeners expect to get booked? And people lost their fucking mind over that.
It's pretty funny though.
It's like it was just like there's like not even your whole band listens to you.
Right.
This is a 5-person band. You have 3 monthly listeners,
Yeah.
so not even you guys or your moms or anybody listen to you. And that made so many. And that's where the Reddit threads came from. That's like I know exactly who was doing that and why. And like they were like, oh fuck Caleb. Well, somebody went on stage and said, fuck Caleb Brown, doesn't care about local artists. I was like, dude, I poured $250,000 into the artist community here.
What are you
like
talking
I
about?
poured every fiber of my being into this.
Yeah.
And you have less monthly listeners than band members.
Yeah.
Meaning that not even if you all have a roommate or a girlfriend or a mom or a dad, not even they are listening to you. That means you're not putting in effort.
Right.
Like
You don't want it that bad.
you don't. Yeah, clearly, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
And so like that for me, like that was a huge controversy
For
for Get Down and pissed a lot of people off.
But it's
And
real, man. It's real
don't-
life.
I don't give a fuck. If you have less monthly listeners than band members, you have 5 band members and 3 monthly listeners, you are not taking your art seriously.
Yeah.
And I don't care about you.
Yeah.
As a human being, I care about you. As an individual, I care about you. But as a music professional, I do not care about your act if you have more band members than monthly listeners.
Boom. Hey, that's the easiest way to put it, dude. And I think your point of like wanting it bad enough to get to that point where you are, being the DIY guy that puts in the effort to meet you where you're at. Like, I mean, there's something that's come up a couple times, like you and Charlie, you and Tim, you and Wyatt. It's like you're only able to work with them because you met them where they're at. And it's like, and that's the biggest thing. It's like if you're not even willing to put in your effort into the passion that you claim that you want to be successful at, why should I put my passion, which is making people's dreams come true? Why should I try to fulfill a dream more than you are trying to fulfill it for yourself?
Yeah, and I've taken on a couple passion projects of artists that are smaller, and
because you're a fan?
Yeah, because I love them, and I
Yeah.
think that they have it, and I think that they just need time and guidance, and
Yeah.
I have a few of those currently. There's a few
Right.
artists that aren't publicly on my roster, but I still talk to them every day and manage them, but they are at a lower threshold, and I don't publicly manage them yet, but I love them and care about them and want them to do well, and I will pour my resources into them as much as I can.
Right.
But the big thing, man, is like at the end of the day, this is my job.
Right.
I physically have to make money off of this. And if you're not making, a certain amount, it doesn't make sense for us to take you on as managers.
Absolutely.
I know some managers that just do it for the love of it and they work another job, and that's great. But ultimately, I can't put my everything into you if management isn't my full time.
Right.
If I don't wake up and start work as a manager, do that whole 40 hours a week at least,
Right.
then like I'm not going to be able to be as good of a manager if I have to focus on, my actual job and this.
No.
And it's you don't just, wake up one day and have a management roster. It's a lot.
Yes.
It takes a lot to build, but yeah, man, it's it's there's a threshold.
Yeah, for sure, man. No, you've definitely taken it to a high level, and there's a reason why you want to like keep it going at that high level. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like if you're gonna pour your resources, like you said, into someone, like you got to make sure that they want it too, man. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like they gotta want it. You can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves. I think that's something I've talked to with so many people.
That's
like-
exactly it.
Yeah.
If you don't, I always say I just parted ways with an artist over exactly this. I said, if you're not willing to literally chop off your right hand for it, then you don't want it that bad. Because if you told me, Caleb, you will have every feat you want as a manager, you will have the platinum plaque, you will have the album of the year Grammy, you will have 30 under 30, you will have all of these things. If you chop off your hand, I would do it right now. Like if it was guaranteed, like I knew that this was a cause and effect in all of my career milestones that I want will happen. I got a left hand, like that's great. Like
Yeah.
if you're not, and I take this a step further, and I will be interested to see how the internet reacts to this. But I say, like, if you're not willing to chop your dick off, and I mean literally chop your actual penis off for your goals, then you don't want it that bad. And I'm not kidding. I would do it. Like I would actually, like if it came down to it, and like get a knife, chop it off. Like not just the tip, like the whole thing. This is what it takes. If you do this, you'll achieve your goals, Caleb. Oh, a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Heartbeat. I mean,
Passion.
there's nothing I want more than that.
Right.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
That's the artist I want.
Right.
And I know my guys will do it.
Yeah.
I know I know that they would too.
Charlie?
Yeah, no. Yeah, no. Like I'm thinking, would they? Yeah, no,
though,
like if it was an
I know
actual
what you
cause and
mean, though.
effect though, like
Right.
I mean, yeah. Like
Yeah.
chop off they say your right hand. I say your dick, take
Yeah,
it a step
straight
further,
up,
bro.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I will, yeah, I'll like that's the dedication I have.
For sure, dude.
I care about this that much.
Absolutely, dude. And it bleeds through even in this conversation. You have so much passion for what you do. And I think that's like another reason why I needed to have you on, because I could see it even just like from not even knowing you that much, the fact that you hit me up at 2 a.m, the fact that,
Yeah.
you're taking gambles on me, just because you see something in me that like maybe other people don't see yet. And there's a conversation where you actually told me, which I really appreciated this. You said, I just don't understand why you're not bigger yet. And I'm just like, fuck, man.
I
but
figured it
I
out.
appreciate it. I mean, it's the clips probably. It's not posting enough, and I don't know.
If
We
you
can talk
post
about this.
consistently, here's a great clip. If you let me put the water down even for this one so that you can purposely clip this up. if you, as a creative of any kind, whether you are a photographer, a podcaster, an artist, a comedian, if you film HD video and post one quality clip a day, every single day for a year, you'll do it. Whatever you want to do, it will happen. Quality HD video once a day. That's it. It's a grind. Don't get me wrong. But if whatever type of creative you are, get a camera guy, whatever it is, post one HD clip on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. You will have success. It is simply, if you're a real estate agent and you do that it'll happen. Real estate, post some clips. Podcaster, post some clips. That's where people spend most of their time. That's how people discover things now. And it's not everybody wants to be an influencer, and you don't even have to do that. Do it in your own way. Like, even in terms of management, at one point I started posting clips, but then that brings you a lot of artists that you don't want to work with. It's more of these like, hey, why don't you manage me? And the 3 monthly listener types. And it's like, well, there's a reason I don't manage you. So like for my business, that might not be the best, but like
for creators though,
for any kind of creative.
Yeah.
If you post daily, short form content, HD video, algorithm friendly, you'll make it. You will. I mean, and you got to adjust it. You got to, take, okay, maybe this type of caption doesn't perform as well, or this lighting isn't as good, or, okay, I see that, this one got a lot more views. Like, this one with the red backdrop did better or whatever. Like, okay, so I'm going to double down and make all of them with red backdrops. Okay, now, I have a different content hook or whatever. And you can go as deep into that as you want. But one of my artists, she told me today, she said, I'm going to ban the word consistency from our text threads because that's all you tell me. And I'm like, yeah,
that's what it is.
If you're consistent, you'll be huge. This podcast will be huge. It looks like a multi-million-dollar podcast studio. Like, or I don't know if that's actually a thing, but like, I don't know if anybody has a multi-million-dollar studio.
You're spending your money wrong.
It looks it looks good. Like,
thank you, man.
It's an HD, like you've got all the professional things. It's branded. Like, what you're doing. You just need to, buckle down and once a day do it and you'll be great. Like, use it with the weeks of the episodes even,
Yeah, for sure.
And this is this type of conversation where I'm just kind of giving you advice. That's management.
Yeah.
That's literally like, that's like 2/3 of what I do. It's,
hey, man, well, I appreciate it.
That's kind of what we do as managers. It's like, but yeah, if you're a creative, just fucking post, dude.
For sure.
Gary Vee said that. Like, I still don't even know what Gary Vee does. Like, I have no idea what he does, but I like he's constantly doing some kind of motivational speech or whatever, and he's got so many clips, and they're posted daily that like it works.
For sure.
I'm pretty sure the guy's a multi-billionaire, and I'm pretty sure he's having success at whatever he's doing.
Yeah, but he was consistent over the past 10 years or whatever he's done. I mean, that was his mantra from the beginning of all the social media stuff. I remember that was like, just post, and just get better and just get like change and adapt and pivot and all these things. And he's been one of those guys that like people get tired of hearing, but it's just like the fact that you got tired of hearing him is because he was always pushing it.
You know how many times I saw Kill Tony clips before I actually even looked into what that show is?
Wow. I mean,
dozens.
Yeah.
And then to see how that works with the world, there's campaigns that get run and companies that basically make like dozens or more pages for like Kill Tony. So if you go look on like Kill Tony YouTube, like in the YouTube shorts, there's like fan pages and things, and a lot of those are run by the actual Kill Tony themselves. But then you have multiple channels, so you get more reach. There's a lot of companies like that. Even like TikTok creator campaigns. Like there's a lot of artists like your Sabrina Carpenter, Chappell Roan, major label types, where it's like they have fan pages that are run by the labels or even by actual fans sometimes, and they pay them to make clips and promote. Like, there's a reason you see every Olivia Rodrigo concert angle on TikTok, because they get the clips and they send them to the fan pages and they all post them. Like, it's just, and then like a lot of those are run by management or internal. And then the actual fans get there, like, that's where Doechii came from. That's where Sabrina Carpenter came from. Like, all of these, there's so many elements that go into it, but like, there's nothing more powerful than a good 15-second HD clip right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't think it's going anywhere. And I mean, you see
I-
different social medias adapting. It's like, I mean, YouTube Shorts wasn't a thing last year, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like it was, but at the same time, it wasn't like what it is now, even.
It's underrated too.
I think it's still in its
YouTube Shorts is
infancy.
very underrated because
Absolutely.
YouTube Shorts is crazy reach that people
Yes.
don't realize. And then in terms of comedy, especially, and just kind of like the alpha male podcast shit, like that's where it lives on the YouTube clips.
Yeah.
And so YouTube Shorts is like super underrated.
Yeah.
Musically, we have an artist, Ryman Leon. He got, I think, 100 million views in April
On a short?
on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh,
So he had one that did like 50. He had a couple that did like 20.
damn.
And that's like millions and millions of views.
Yeah.
It didn't translate that well, like to like monthly listeners, to ticket sales, to anything, because Instagram isn't as like music based.
Mm-hmm.
TikTok is though.
Right.
So if you have a stupid big TikTok, and people are gonna go look up that song a lot more than they do on Instagram.
That makes
In
sense.
comedy, if you have a stupid great joke that just goes insane, Instagram will do better than TikTok does sometimes. And then YouTube Shorts is really good for like podcast content, and like they all have like strengths and weaknesses, and you could go stupid viral on YouTube Shorts, or as a country artist, and find an audience there and do great. But like
Right.
they all have different Facebook has its own thing. Twitch, like,
Yeah.
I think Twitch is probably the future. Once
Yeah, for
Twitch
sure.
gets a short form video thing, I think that'll probably be one of the biggest of the 2020s. Like,
Absolutely.
like Twitch is going to be huge. Like you stream this whole podcast on Twitch, and then you put it in clips, and then if like once they get that short form thing, I think Twitch will be the biggest one. But
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I mean, that's another one, the social media, like adapting, because Twitch, even, 4 years ago, wasn't what it is now. And now it's
T-Pain put Twitch on.
shoot. I mean, if you want to talk about like the video gamers like Ninja and Tfue and all these guys that were Fortnite gamers, those were the guys that really put Twitch on the map, because it's like
Yep.
Ninja had that one stream with Drake and Travis Scott, blew the doors off of Twitch. And all of a sudden it's like, here's $1 billion. You know what I'm saying?
And if you're like a DJ, so like every type of artist what I like about working for 1717 is that they want us to have a really diverse roster. So I have comedians. I also have a neo soul girl. She's awesome.
Fuck.
I have a kind of country pop artist. Fantastic. I have like rock. I always have a hard time describing him, but kind of like Queen and Modest Mouse. Like very interesting, like feels old, nostalgic thing.
Love it.
All of these are at the same time, and I talk to all of them pretty much every day, and they all have different teams and strategies and things. When I had an EDM DJ, TikTok's not like, Instagram might not do as much for you. If you go stream your sets on Twitch though, go crazy.
Yeah.
If you do the right like TikToks with your like DJ cuts or whatever,
Right.
goes crazy.
Interesting.
That doesn't really work for a neo soul artist. Like what's she
Right.
gonna do on Twitch?
Mm.
But then what is a DJ gonna do on like, I don't know, YouTube Shorts? Maybe something, it's
Right.
all different. Like,
Yeah.
and that's what's cool about management, is that I wake up
Absolutely.
every day and do something different. It's never the same. It's never the same time. It's always a lot of phone calls, meetings, and text and emails, but like it's never the same.
Yeah.
I might have an artist like Charlie the past couple of weeks that just is going so stupid that he takes up all of my time, and I'm working till 5 a.m. with his stuff. I also might have a couple of weeks where, like nobody's really dropping music right now. Everybody's kind of home for the holidays. We don't have any shows. Like it's a little bit more chill. That doesn't happen too often anymore.
Right.
But like, it's just gearing up for the new year or something. But it's every day is so different, and every artist is so different and has its own creative path. But those kind of core principles of like work ethic and mindset and talent, from the first day of my career, I've like, who do I want to manage? Okay, I want to manage artists with these things.
Yeah.
And they all have them. I mean, that's like, they have to. And some have more than others.
Yeah.
Some have more work ethic and less talent. Some have more talent and, less of a mindset. I mean, you see that in athletes. You see like unbelievable athlete doesn't have to work as hard because he's just that talented. Like he still does. And he still goes to training every day. It's the same thing with these artists. Like,
man.
And their strengths and weaknesses are all different. And like, my relationships with them are all different.
Yeah.
Some of them is pure business. I don't joke with them. I don't really talk to them that much. Like,
Just how you guys work.
I don't know anything about like their personal life. That's great.
Yeah.
Some of them I am so intertwined, and like we're like, if I don't hear from you for 3 hours, something's probably wrong. Like it's just every artist is different.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's very it's fun to work with them, and then fun to have other managers in your agency that are doing their thing. And I'm like, what's your relationship like with this guy? And he's like, well, it's, we're kind of like this,
right?
We're kind of like that, and
yeah,
different genres. I mean,
yeah, it's beautiful, man. The fact that you have like a team around you to bounce ideas off of, be inspired by, and surrounding yourself with those types of people is the key to anything creative, I think. Keep yourself inspired. When you're running everything by yourself, you don't have anything to draw from or anything to inspire you. So
accurate. That is a great way to put it, in that there's no like, I mean, I as a manager can't exist without artists, obviously, and that's great. But even then, like, you need a solid group of people around you in every aspect of your life.
Facts.
Like I said, was almost a pastor and then entered the most godless industry I could find of music, and definitely don't do that. But there was a really good thing that I was in a cult. We haven't talked about that. I was in a cult in I was in a cult when I was in high school, and I realized very recently it was a cult. But one of the guys, actually, one of the older leaders, said something very actually insightful that I still carry with me. He said, you always need a Paul, a Silas, and a Timothy. And so if you're not like familiar with the Bible, Paul had Silas, who was like his best friend, does everything right along with him. Paul was kind of like the mentor to everybody, and then Timothy was like the protege. So you always need somebody that you're talking up to, somebody that you're doing it right alongside, and then somebody that you're pouring into. I've carried that with me my whole life. Of all the shit that I went through being in an actual cult, like it that one thing is still pretty valuable.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, to not use it like in a negative way though. Like, I think,
oh dude, they give me so much stupid shit that like I just like don't think about it anymore. Like fucking tattoos and like don't take medication, dumb stuff like that. Like, but like having a mentor always, a mentee, and then someone alongside you. I can think of who it is right now. I've got Tim, I've got David, and I have I have a few right now, but like I've got
artists that you're pouring into.
I got a few mentees. There's a couple. It's fun though,
dude. I love it. I mean, the fact that you have all these different types of artists to work with too, it's cool that you can kind of see different perspectives within the industry, see what works best for an artist in this genre, an artist in this genre, and this genre. And I mean, even the way that you're breaking down like the different social medias and how they can affect your growth. So yeah, man, I guess to wrap up here, I know 1717's got some big things on the horizon. Is there anything other than, of course, Wyatt's tour that he's currently on tour with Luke and Charlie Mack? Go buy those tickets, the US tour and the Euro tour if you're in Europe listening to this. What else you guys got coming up, man?
Yeah, I mean, Wyatt Feegrado is on tour with his brother all year. Yeah, go get those tickets. They're hilarious. Charlie Mack on tour all year. They're both everywhere, worldwide. Rokapara just dropped his new single, Good Times. It's such a like summer vibe. Go check that out. Perfect. Amazing single. Ryman Leon, he just dropped his single as well, and then he's just gonna keep on dropping them. Ryman just got off his first tour and killed it.
Beautiful.
And he's a super great artist. Nadine El Ruby, somebody to keep an eye on. I work with her. She's like about to enter a release cycle, and she's a Sudanese rapper. Like, she's like a Sudanese rapper. It feels weird for me to say that. Like, Nadine is like a Sudanese neo soul rapper, like just kind of like SZA-esque.
Ooh, okay.
And she's got some stuff on the way that I won't shout out the specific details, but she's working really hard, and she'll be happy to have me talk about her.
Man, she's someone you believe in, though.
She is great. She's unbelievably talented, and just like when I saw SZA live, I was like, this is very similar to Nadine. Like, it's very, very similar. And so and then if you know artists, I mean, big or small, like I say I don't give a fuck about you if you have more band members than monthly listeners, and that's true. But I mean, I'm always looking to to work with artists of any size that want to be better. So having less monthly listeners and band members shows me that you don't want to be better and you don't care.
Right.
But you know, if you're an artist, big or small, hit me up at Caleb the Manager. Always happy to work with anybody on any size, whether it's on like a consulting level, but especially if you're a good rapper, send me your shit.
Yes.
Like seriously, I have 2 slots on my roster right now for rappers right now. This is the first time in my whole career I haven't had a rapper on my roster. Wow. So yeah, I'm looking for like the best rappers in that kind of like 100,000 to 500,000 monthly listener range. Yes. So if you're dope, send me your stuff. You know somebody dope, send me your stuff. If you have under that, send me your stuff anyway. Like I want to work with everybody. So
yeah, man, for sure. And this is again, like if you don't want it, if you think he's gonna want it for you more than you want it for yourself, do not hit this man up, okay?
Not your goddamn secretary. I've had several artists like that. I can't want it more than you do.
Facts, dude.
And that's where that, like, if you have under this threshold, like, you're just not trying.
Right.
The fact that there's 4 of you and not all 4 of you listen to you on Spotify, like, what the fuck?
Speaks for itself.
Like, it's just, like, that shows me so much.
Yes.
But if you have 20 monthly listeners and you're working hard and just getting started, hit me up. I'd love to tell you how to get that up to, 20,000, which is still really low, or 200,000, which is still not that big. Like,
Yeah, dude.
I do care about artists, which is something that never came across in all of the, get down like fiascos that I want these artists I want any artist that really wants it to do it. It's just, if you don't really want it, then don't waste my time.
Facts. And that's the best way to put it. Don't waste time here if you're not even putting in the time yourself.
But send me music at Caleb the Manager on Instagram. Yes. Send me music, big, small, from country to rap to metal to even comedy, like whatever you got. Send me music. I would love to check it out and see if you really got what it takes.
Absolutely. So my fellow Martians, you heard it here first. Go follow at Caleb the Manager. Go follow at 1717 MGMT on Instagram. And thank you so much for coming on. And we'll see you next time on Mars. Love you. Hell yeah.
Damn, dude. My dog. Thank you. What did you want? Wait, what? How you? I mean...
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in and watching this episode of the On Mars Pod, and for sticking around to the end, man. I really appreciate you guys. You are the real Martians. Like this video, comment below what your favorite part was, what was most inspiring to you. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications here on future interviews coming out soon, and also follow us on Instagram at On Mars Pod. Love you guys so much. We will see you next time on Mars.